Hey everyone, welcome back to the Math Hive, and today we will be talking about angles of elevation and depression, as well as some word problems. Let's get right into it. When you look at an airplane flying overhead, for example, the angle between the horizontal, this part, and your line of sight is called the angle of elevation. So this would be your line of sight, and this would be the horizontal. So in between that, this would be the angle of elevation. So pretend there's a plane right here. Then this would be the angle of elevation between the horizontal line. When you look down from a cliff to a boat passing by, let's say, the angle between the horizontal and your line of sight is called the angle of depression. We can find missing angles if we have an angle that's next to it. So let's say the angle of depression for this one is 55 degrees. Since these two angles make a right triangle, we can take 90 degrees, which is the degree of a right angle, and then we can subtract 55 degrees from it, and this gives us 35 degrees. So the missing angle for this part of the triangle would be 35 degrees. Let's assume our line of sight spots the boat 200 meters away. Since we found an angle and a side length, let's see how far the boat is from the cliff. We can use the trig ratio sine. Let's write down the formula for sine. The formula for sine is sine theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. And now let's plug in our known values. So we know theta for that triangle is sine 35 degrees, and the opposite would be x. We need to find that out. And then the hypotenuse is 200. So now let's isolate x by multiplying both sides by 200. So let's get rid of this. And then we can also multiply 200 there. These parts canceled out. And now we're left with 200 times sine 35. To solve for x, we can't really solve 200 times sine 35 without a calculator, so I'll just use a calculator just for the sake of this video, and we can find that x equals 114.7 meters. So to conclude, the boat is 114.7 meters away. Let's say a ladder is leaning against the wall that makes an angle of 74 degrees with the ground. If the foot of the ladder is 6.5 feet away from the wall. So what the question is asking for is what the value of this part of the wall is. So we'll call it x. And since we need to find the height of this wall, we can use trig ratios since we have an angle and a side. So what trig ratio we can use is tangent, because we do not have the hypotenuse, and we only need the adjacent side and the opposite side. So let's write down the formula. Tan theta equals opposite over adjacent. Let's plug in what we already know. So theta is 74 degrees, and then the opposite angle will be x, and the adjacent will be 6.5. Let's go ahead and isolate the variable. So we can isolate x by removing the 6.5. So by doing that, we can do 6.5 multiply on both sides, which ends up canceling out, and we're left with x equals 6.5 times tan 74 degrees. Now we can use a calculator to figure this out really quickly. So 6.5 times tan 74, and we're left with 22.7 feet. This is the value of x. So now we know the wall that the ladder is leaning on is 22.7 feet. And that's all for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.